Hello everyone, it's Ryan again from Dark Winter Moon in Boston, and today I wanted to do a brief video about Requiem and how witchcraft can help us to mourn the loss of loved ones. To give you a bit of a backstory, in October of last year, I lost my dear and long-term cat companion, Merlin. We had been together for over 16 years, and at the time, he just went missing from the house. And so I wanted to do some sigil magic in order to bring him back or to guide him home if he was still out there. I'm going to post or link the picture right up here so you can see the sigil. And it was basically a sigil of homecoming that I created for him to provide him a bridge back home. And not long after that, too, I bought a few candles, and I'll also show that picture as well for him, because in my heart, I was pretty sure that he had passed on. And this was confirmed by another friend of mine who's very sensitive not long after that. And at the time, though, I wasn't really ready to fully process it. I wanted to give him time in case he was out there to come back. You know, I did all the things and looked for him, and he still didn't. And ever since then, I've been waiting for the intuitive nudge and to be ready in order to complete the process that I had started in the morning of him. And so everything's set on the altar, or actually in boxes, and the sigil sat on the altar until I felt the intuitive nudge over this past weekend over Ostara that it was time to do the final spell, or at least to start it, because I'm still working on it. So with all that said, I feel like that in many ways, witchcraft provides us better ways to mourn than most of the ways that are available to us in our current society under the current paradigm. I feel like overall our society teaches us that there's something shameful in mourning and that we need to move on as quickly as possible. And I don't think that's healthy. There are many societies that have the aspect of lamenting or crying out over the dead body and just shrieking and letting it out. And in many ways, I wish that that was still available to us and socially acceptable. But because in many ways it's not, in many ways our society suppresses or teaches us to suppress the feelings of mourning that we have. But witchcraft is different. We have many tools available to us. And for me, at least, one of those is the sigil work that I did. The homecoming sigil. It was also a sigil of mourning. That process was a long-term process. And eventually I burned the sigil and released it. And the act of burning the sigil, of releasing the magic, felt like closing the door. It felt like completing the mourning process, or at least starting the completion of the mourning process. Because at that time, I blessed the candles that I bought for the occasion. I dressed them with camphor oil, which to me I've always associated with death, because it's a kind of a bittersweet smell. And if you have ever smelt it, you'll know what I'm talking about. But witchcraft allows us to go through that process. So the process of burning the sigil, the process of lighting the candles and saying a prayer over them, saying a spell, basically, allowed me to start to process. And it turned out that even though I thought I had pretty much done all the crying that I needed to do, that more came out. And so I realized that I needed to continue to extend this spell work until it was done. And so I spent some time on Monday, after I burned the sigil, lighting the candles and thinking about all the times that Merlin and I shared together, good and bad, and vocalizing those out loud and speaking to him and talking to him and laughing and crying and maybe even getting angry. And so, again, like I said, I'm not quite finished with that process, but it is almost done. And will be done as soon as the candles are done. So, witchcraft provides us the space to create that ritual around death and dying and have it go on as long as we need it to. It invites us to check in with where we are actually at in the mourning process, despite what society or others may be telling us, that we look into ourselves and see how we feel and are able to let that process take as long as it needs. And the rituals we create around that process, whether it's sigil work and or candle magic, or whatever other process that you feel you need to include, is also acceptable for the mourning process. There's a lot of space that witchcraft allows for us to mourn in our own way, in our own time. And that, to me, is such a beautiful thing and such a healthy thing. And I guess that's really all I have to say about it. I would encourage all of you out there who need to mourn to do it in your own way, in your own time. Look to your magic and your own power and your own intuition about it. And don't let anyone else tell you how and when you need to mourn. I'm also working on a blog post about this that will go live within the next few days. So if you want some more details about the magic I've done and my relationship with Merlin, then you'll be getting a notification of that if you're signed up on my email list. If you're not and you would like to be, please go to darkwintermoon.boston and you can sign up there to receive my emails. And as always, I appreciate you all for following and liking and subscribing and for listening. And as always, blessed be and have a wonderful weekend.